So what's going on YouTube? AJ Simmons here. It's Tuesday, so that means it's wealth building day, and it's like, I don't know, maybe almost 11 o'clock at night. So I'm sneaking while everybody's sleeping in my house. I'm trying not to wake everybody up, but at the same time I'm trying to speak loud enough for you guys to hear. So that this Tuesday, on this financial day, I want to talk about debt, and good debt in particular versus bad debt. So first things first, we gotta understand that good debt is basically any type of debt that you've used to obtain assets or anything that appreciates in value, while bad debt is just the opposite of that. Anything that you use to get a liability or something that depreciates in value, basically something that you use for any personal gain or whatnot, but not for business, so to speak. So, for example, obviously you guys should know, if you've been following my channel or Robert Kiyosaki, you probably know that good debt might be the mortgage that you used to get a rental property, or the business loan that you got to open a business. Where bad debt is the loan for your car, or the loan to pay for your home mortgage, the one that you actually live in, because it's costing you money and taking money out of your monthly cash flow. So the other thing I wanted to say is, when you're using debt, debt isn't a bad thing, obviously, because we said we got good debt and we got bad debt. But what we want to specify first off is, you don't use debt for short-term fixes. All right, so if you find yourself struggling to make ends meet, and you feel like maybe you want to go to one of these bad credit loan places that'll give you a 6-year loan at a high interest rate, because you feel like it'll fix your monthly expenses and costs in the short term, that's not a good idea. That'll get you in a lot of trouble. Now, if you want to get maybe like a home equity loan or a line of credit to consolidate your bills or consolidate your debt, I don't think that's a bad idea, as long as it's an equity loan, simply because the equity loans can be spread out for long extended periods of time, I think up to 30 years. So therefore, the monthly payment will be very, very minimal on it, and also the interest rate probably won't be nowhere near as high as one of these high interest loan companies for bad credit and all of that. So that's the one time I recommend that you can use a loan or use debt to pay for other debt, is if it's an equity loan. That way you can kind of bail yourself out if you're in a situation where you have a lot of equity in your home, but you have a lot of debt and you're trying to restart. So what else I got here? But like, again, you just want to mainly use debt to invest, pretty much. And I'm talking about an investing in something that already has cash flow, or something that you can almost guarantee that you're going to get a return on. So for example, me personally, my rule of thumb when I'm looking for investment properties, I only invest in properties that are already rented. And it doesn't have to be 100% rented, but it has to be have at least one tenant. So if it's a fourplex, I like to see at least 2 tenants in it, and that way I only have to find 2 other tenants. But if it's a property that's supposed to be a rental property but it has 0 tenants in it, I wouldn't invest in it. More than likely, other variables can affect it, but for the most part, I probably wouldn't invest in something that isn't rented, simply because there might be a problem with it. You know what I mean? Or must be a reason why the vacancy rate is the way it is. So the same thing with a business. Like, for example, I knew a guy that was selling his cleaning franchise, but the only thing you got with it was his truck and all his equipment, but it came with no contracts. He didn't have any contracts in it. So it was like, well, if it's not cash flowing, it's not generating any income, and there's no way for you to promise me that I'll get any income, then why would I invest in it? You know what I mean? So that was just my take on that. Now, some people will say, well, you got the value of the truck and of the equipment that you're buying. But I think that's a little bit overrated. I need something that's a performing asset and not what is the word I'm looking for? A non-performing asset. Go figure. That's the word I'm looking for. But anyway, so and speaking of that, because I had people ask me, well, what about a house that's paid for free and clear without a mortgage? Is that a asset or is it a liability? If it's still your own home, so I say it's an asset at that point. It's just a non-performing asset. So because it doesn't bring in you any money, but it also really doesn't cost you money either. You might pay some property taxes on it or something like that, but other than that, you don't really pay anything on it, and you're not owing anybody for it. So I see it as a non-performing asset because you can easily just go get the equity and borrow against the property too. So that's why I still feel like it's an asset, because it can generate revenue, or not revenue, but generate a form of liquid for you. You can tap into the value of that home and create cash out of it. So that's why I still feel like it's an asset. It's just a non-performing asset. All right. What else do I have for you guys? All right. And so I just wanted to show you guys exactly like just how good debt can be for you. Like when I first started, when I got back into the commercial cleaning franchise, and when I started back doing these videos, like I've never been a person to save. So this is my first time putting this information out. I didn't have a ton of money set aside when I bought my franchise. As a matter of fact, I actually funded my franchise with loans. So when I decided to get back into this business, I actually borrowed $16,000 in loans to get a franchise, and I figured I'd start big because for one, I wasn't as educated as I am now. If you listen to my videos, you'll see why I say now to start small anyway. But at the time when I got the loans, I actually planned to start big. I was gonna get a $16,000 down and get $4,000 a month in income from a franchise, and that was my plan. But once I bought my house, I had some piping and some issues go wrong with it, which caused me to use some of that loan money to repair the house problems. So things didn't go the way that I had planned for it to go. So what I ended up doing is invested in a smaller franchise for about $3,000, and it paid off to my favor, because now I make well over the little 4,000. Well, not well over, but I make more than that 4,000 that I was trying to get. And my monthly payment is nowhere near what it would have been if I would have put that $16,000 down on that franchise that I was looking to get. And so it helped me. But also, it taught me a valuable lesson. Well, some valuable lessons. It taught me, number one, that debt can be good. Because if it wasn't for the debt that I was able to acquire, then I wouldn't have been able to just jump my income from $40,000 a year at a regular job to $100,000 a year. You know what I mean? So and working a business and become an entrepreneur and being able to quit my job and make my dreams come true. You know what I mean? So that's what debt can do for you, because the old saying, it takes money to make money. But you just gotta remember, first of all, it doesn't take money to make money, because it costs me nothing to do this YouTube channel, but here I am making money. Same thing with that book that I wrote. It didn't cost me anything to write that book. I just wrote it. So it doesn't take money to make money. You just got to get creative, number one, and use what you already have, number two. And then also, even if you do want to go with the notion that it takes money to make money, just remember that it doesn't always have to be your money. And using debt is the way that it doesn't have to be your money. So remember that. Understanding the difference between good debt and bad debt is a lot of misinformation out there. Again, I always recommend Robert Kiyosaki and the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, because I feel like he gives the best breakdown and explanation of this information and how you can distinguish between the two and why you shouldn't be afraid to get in debt. Now, if you really, really, really just are not an aggressive investor and you want to be financially free, but you don't want to you just don't seem like you don't feel like you're entrepreneur type, then again, I recommend Dave Ramsey for you. You might be a Dave Ramsey follower, but if you really want to be financially educated, you want to take charge of your own finances, and you value freedom, more than anything, then I recommend that you follow my channel, Robert Kiyosaki, and people that speak along the lines that we speak, and believe seem to be in line with our goals, because I'm not with the Dave Ramsey thing where he preaches to be debt free and a debt free lifestyle and all of that. So being debt free is cool. Like you definitely want to minimize your monthly liability costs and expenses, and do your best to increase your cash flow, you know what I mean? But at the same time, don't be afraid of debt. Don't be afraid of debt. Use it to your advantage, all right? And make sure that you can use it as leverage. So that's my time. Thank you for